Hey everybody, it's Steve on the Guru Brew. Today I am very excited to show you a piece of software that you can use to design projects for a CNC router. You know, when I first started building my CNC machine, I knew very little about the software and what it took to make a project, not realizing what an effort it would be. Had I had this software in the beginning, things would have went a lot smoother and I would have saved myself a lot of headaches. You know, in the past I had to design in one package, make the artwork in another package, and then make the G-code in another package. I had to learn all these very difficult packages and make them all come together to make a project, and it was a very, very steep learning curve. Well, I downloaded their software from their website and I did the trial version, and I was so impressed of how fast I learned this software because it was so intuitive that I wrote the company and I asked them to send me a full-fledged version so that I could share this product with you, because I just knew that it was something that people making projects could really use. I really like this a lot. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the VCarve Pro by Vectrix. And what we're going to do is I'm going to make a nice wine cabinet from start to finish. Actually, it's going to be kind of like a little wine shelf. I want it to hold a few bottles and be nice enough that I can set it up on the counter and display it and do some fancy scroll work. That'll allow me to show you some of the features and give you an idea just what a wonderful piece of software this is. So let's get started. Well, before we go ahead and start designing the wine cabinet in VCarve Pro, I wanted to show you the Vectrix website, and I'll put a link in the description. This is the home of VCarve Pro, and you can see that they've got some really nice examples on their webpage here. Not only is the software easy to use, but they have a very good support section. If you look down in support, they have training materials, and they have tons of videos on every aspect of using VCarve Pro as well as their other software. They have, you know, frequently asked questions and a full user forum with a lot of smart people there that can help you out if you're in a jam. I started using this software right off the bat without reading any words at all. All the buttons and the way that it worked seemed so natural to me that I really didn't need the help. In addition to the support, they also have a downloads here, and they have a free projects from users as well as Vectrix. And if you look down through here, these are some of the projects that you can download and put into your VCarve Pro and begin making right away. And this wine rack that I'm designing today, I plan on submitting into their library as well. So look for that, and hopefully they'll put that up on the site for me. You can make things such as clocks and really decorative boxes. See all this artwork on the top of this box? That's all done with VCarve Pro, as well as all the scroll work. That's what it's really good at. The first thing that comes to mind in making a project would be a sign, but I think everybody's probably shown a sign, you know, making signs, which it's very good at, but I wanted to make something a little different, so that's why I decided the wine rack. So anyway, I just wanted to show you their website, and I also wanted to point out that they have a free trial software download, and you can actually download VCarve Pro, and it will allow you to make a project and actually cut it on your machine so that you can get a feel for the software. And that's what I did. I started out by making a sign that they had as a demo, and that's how I fell in love with the software, if you will. Okay, so that's the website. Let's get into the actual VCarve Pro itself. I've got my VCarve Pro software running here, and I'm ready to start building the wine cabinet. Before I start, I would like to say that this video is not a how-to on how to use VCarve Pro. I'm just going to show you some of the features and things that you can do with it. For a full explanation, I suggest you go to the Vectrix website and watch their tutorials. They can explain it a lot better than I can. Anyway, let's create a new file here. And I'm going to make my job size the size of my first piece of board, and that's going to be the board that will hold the wine necks in place. So the size is going to be 19.5 by 2.5 inches high. And you can see I'm going to put my 0, 0 reference here in the corner, and I'm going to work in inches. You can see my rulers say that this is 0 and this is 0, that little red dot right down there. So I'm going to go ahead and say OK on that. So there's my work area. Let's go ahead and start out with making a rectangle here under Create Vectors. Click here. I want my anchor point to be right here in this corner, which will be right there. And again, I want my size to be 19.5 by 2.5 inches tall. So I'm going to create. And you can see now that there's a rectangle filling up the outside of this work space. So we're done with that. Let's close that. Alright, now it's time to make the neck rest. So now I want to make some circles up here that is like a half circle, and that'll be the rest that I put my stems of my bottles on. So I'm going to come up here and click on the circle tool, and remember, this is our 0, 0 coordinate, so you fill in these blanks accordingly. So the first circle I want to be right up here, and that'll be at the 3-inch mark. So I'm going to put 3 inches, and up on top of here will be 2.5, so 2.5. And the diameter of my circle, let's see, is going to be 0.75. That'll be the radius. The diameter will be 3 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and create, and you can see it popped in a circle right there for me. Now I'm going to go ahead and make this to hold 4 bottles per rack, so I need these spaced apart. So I'm going to come up here and add another circle, 4.5 inches from this circle, and so this one will be 7.5 inches from that circle. I'm going to create another one. You can see it popped it up. I'm going to go another 4.5 inches, so that'll be 12. Great. And one more at 4.5 inches will be 16.5 inches. And create. And there it is. There's my 4 circles evenly spaced. Now I don't need this top part, so we're going to cut all that away, so I'll show you that. Let's go ahead and close this. And we're going to use our trim tool, which is here, trim vectors. And I can just come in here and clip, and it gets rid of the top part right there. And I also don't need this top line, so I'm going to clip that away. So this is our first piece done, drawn. Let's close this, and let's take a look at it, how it would be viewed in 3D. Let's go ahead and make a toolpath for it. So I'm going to go underneath toolpaths here. I'm going to click on this push button so it stays out. And we're going to go ahead and set up our material first. And you can see the thickness is already the size of my board. And I'm going to put the 0, 0 down here. And this is the rapid clearance and the plunge. And I'm just going to leave all those at 0, or at 0.2, I'm sorry. Say OK on that. Now, this will be a profile cut. So you can see as I go underneath my toolpath options, I have profile, pocket, drilling, engraving. There's the VCarve, fluting, texturing, And prism carving, that's a neat one. And inlay toolpath is also pretty neat. So let's go ahead and do our profile, which will cut this piece out. And you can see it's pretty easy to set up here. The starting depth 0. And I want it to cut all the way through the material, so I'm going to leave that at 1/2 inch. And I can come in here and select the tool that I want to use. And there's metric as well as imperial tools, and you can also make your own. I'm going to use a 1/4 inch end mill, and here's where I can adjust my feed rates. I usually cut at 60 and I plunge at 30, and you can number your tools. You can make a whole tool library in here, but I'm just going to go ahead with the defaults that I have in here for my 1/4 inch end mill. Click. Okay, so I've got my tool set up, and here's where you can assign it the direction that you want to go. We're going to go around the outside to the right, and I can also put tabs on this part, and we'll get into that in a minute, but the tabs are what would hold that piece in if you were cutting it out of a bigger piece. You can also do things like leads and ramps, and you can specify the order in which you want it to cut. And these are easy enough to figure out if you just read through them. We're not going to use any of these right now. But what I'm going to do is go ahead and select all these vectors. You can see that everything's turned red. And I'm going to go ahead and calculate my tool path. It's warning me that the tool's going to go through the material, which we already know because it's going to cut it out. So we're going to say OK. And you can see it's made up the tool path. And from here we can actually preview the tool path. There's a little animation which I really like, and you can see that it's taking little chunks out at a time to complete the part. And you can actually, you know, rotate it and put it in a 3D view so you can see what you've got here. And you can click on the pieces that you no longer need. You know, that would be the scrap. So I could actually click on these and remove them. But this is our first piece. Now, this is just plain looking. I want to go ahead and spruce that up with a nice graphic. And I'm going to show you how to do that next. But this would be the piece that holds the wine bottles, the neck of the wine bottle. All right, let's go ahead and make a nice little graphic for the front of this. Okay, while this piece is functional, we would like to also make it fancy because it's going to be a showpiece, more like furniture. So let's add some nice graphics to it. I'll show you one way that you can do that. If I go to the internet, to Google, I could type in grapes. And now if we click on the image button, Google will give us some grapes, and you can look down through here and see there's tons of them. Now the ideal piece of art that will work well is more of a line drawing, which is like this one, or perhaps this one up here. And we can actually filter the search by using this search tool in Google. And I can click on this types button, and I can choose line drawing or clip art, and let's see what happens. You can see now that I have all these different pictures of grapes, and I can go down through here and take the one that I think would look the best and place it on my CAD program here. Let me just show you how easy that would be. Let's just choose one of these. Let's pick this one here. If I click on that and I click view image, so I get just that, I can right click and I can actually copy the image. Okay, it's in memory. Let's go ahead and go back to my VCarve, and if I click on the tab so that I'm seeing my layout here, I can go under edit and go to paste. and it pastes those grapes right on the drawing for me. And I can click on this and I can grab these handles, and you can see I can size it. I can actually grab the center here and move it around. I can rotate it. I could do everything that you would expect a graphics program to do. Now, if you've used CAD packages before, you know that you cannot use graphics like this for producing G-code. You would actually have to trace this out using vectors, and it's very time consuming. Well, lucky for us, VCarve has a built-in tracer that will do that for us. If I click on my graphics and use this button over here called Trace Bitmap and click on it, you can actually adjust all these settings how you would like it to work, and then hit the preview button, and you can see that it's went ahead and traced this image for us. If I hit apply and close, it's that quick. Now we're still seeing the bitmap. Let's go ahead and go under our layers and turn off the bitmap. Now we're just seeing the vector image, and it's that easy. These grapes could now be cut because this is now vector art, and you can still manipulate it and size it. I can stretch it, I can twist it and turn it. Alright, let me find some suitable graphics for this piece, and then I'll be back and show you how to make a toolpath for that. Okay, I've spent a few minutes with Google and I found some images, and I went ahead and placed them and transformed them into vector art. I used some grape leaves and this little design here, and you can see how good the tracing came out. Looks really good. So let's go ahead and make a tool path for this and spruce up the front of our wine cabinet a little bit. Let's go ahead and do a VCarve of this. We can click this button here and choose the graphics that we would like to cut out, those three things. And I'm going to go ahead and select a VCarve bit, a 90-degree half-inch, because I have that one. And you can add your own tools as well. You can actually make tools using this. So I'm going to choose that one, and I'm going to go ahead and calculate, and it's going to make the tool paths. And you can see there's the tool path there. And we can go ahead and reset the preview and go ahead and do a preview of all the tool paths and see what we come up with here. Now, if you've noticed, I'm cutting out the piece first, and that's the wrong order. I'll show you how to change the order, but that won't matter right this moment. It's gonna go ahead and finish cutting that out, then it's gonna do the V-carve of our design. Some nice grape leaves. Let's zoom in here and see what we have. So there it is. There's the grape leaves that we put on our piece. Look really nice. Now, if you want to give this more of an impact, you could put that inside a box. Let me demonstrate that for you. Oh, by the way, if I want to change these two around, you know how the profile was supposed to be done after the V-carve, I can just choose this one and then move it like that. Now it'll cut in the right order. It'll do the carve, then the profile. Let's go back to our drawing view, and what I want to do is make this graphic pop out at us a little. So I could actually select this profile, and I can use our offset tool and offset it by 0.2 inward, and you can see now borders are cut out. I can close that. Now I can go back into the V-carve toolpath and also select that profile that we just made. and that'll give us a whole new look. Let's go ahead and calculate that. Now what I should have did, because this is going to take a long time to cut out, is I should have used, you can see it came up with the toolpath. Let's go back here and I'll explain. If I use this button right here, this flat area clearance tool, it'll use a bigger tool to take out the bulk. So I'm not using such a small tool to get rid of all this space here. So let me go ahead and select my end mill for the bulk tool removal, and it should calculate quite a bit faster, and it will definitely cut faster, and this is a really nice feature of this program. So we're going to wait till this calculates here. Okay, the calculating is done. You can see that it's going to use the end mill in all these red spots, and then the blue it's going to use the small V-bit. And it's also added another tool to our list of paths here. So let's reset our preview, and let's go ahead and do a preview of all the toolpaths. So it starts out with our 1/4 inch end mill, and it's removing the bulk of everything around our graphic. And like I said before, this will save a lot of cutting time, so we're not using such a small tool to remove the bulk of the material. So we'll just wait for this to finish. So now it's changed over to the V-bit, and it's doing all the finer details of all the leaves and the profile around the cutout. You can see what a dramatic difference this made just by adding the profile and including that in our VCarve. It definitely gives the look of hand carved, which is what we're going for here. The V-carve's now done, and we're back to the 1/4 inch end mill, and it's cutting the piece out of the wood, and it's almost done. Look how nice that's looking. This is going to be a nice wine stand. Okay, good. And again, we can take our mouse and click on the pieces that will be our scrap, and it will remove them so we can get a better look at what it's going to look like here. Now I do have to go in and make some small adjustments. You can see that perhaps the graphic's a little bit too big, and these areas right in here around this lip are too small to get in there. So if I adjust this graphic, this will smooth out and you can make the piece look better. But let's rotate it up here and see what we get. So look at the detail in that, and you can see the nice profile around this too. So I'm going to fine tune this up, and this is what I'm going to go with for our front of our wine cabinet. And I'm going to do some of the other pieces too. So I hope that you see the benefits in this. Look how fast I made this part. And this is a really nice part. Alright, let's go on to something else. Okay, I've finished the fronts, and as you can see, I've set it up to fit 2 on a piece of wood, because my wood was about 5.5 by 24, and I was able to fit 2 of these fronts on there. And if I do a 3D view, you can see that it'll fit nicely on one piece of wood with very little waste. So I'm ready to go ahead and cut these fronts out. Let's go ahead and do that now. Well, here we go. I'm ready to begin. I've got my nice 1/2 inch oak in here. I'm going to start out with a flat end mill and clear as much material as I can, and then I'll switch over to the V-bit, and then we'll end again using this bit to cut out the perimeter. Alright, let's take her home. Right on the corner, I'll be able to fit 2 fronts on this one. So let's get started. This is what the rough pass looks like on the area clearance. It's pretty rough, but all these edges will be taken down now that I switch my V-bit. This will save probably about 25 minutes on my cut time just by using a clear out bit. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now and then start up the V-bit. Here's the V-bit we're going to be using. This is a 60-degree 1/2 inch V-bit. Okay, I've got my V-bit installed. It's time to start the program again. For long cuts, I use this screen to watch my CNC room. See if I can bring it in here. So this monitor shows the CNC room, and I can actually watch a machine from here at this workstation and make sure everything's okay. Plus I can hear it, and it gets pretty hot in that room, so I can do other work here at the computer and keep an eye on the CNC. So it works out pretty good. I just ran it in through the regular security system. It's just another channel. Well, the carving is done. Now it's ready to be cut out. Looks really good. Looks really good. So it took a while to run, but I think it was worth it. So I'm going to go ahead and get that bit changed and cut out the piece. Nice. Alright, I've got my 1/4 inch flat bit in there and I'm ready to cut out the profile. Let's do that. Well, that's it. That's it for the fronts. Now that the fronts are done, I went ahead and designed the rear of the wine rack to hold the base of the bottles. And again, I was able to put 2 on a piece of wood. And this is my drawing. Let's go ahead and preview these out and see what they would look like. Alright, so those are the bases, the back of the bottle holder. I can click on these to get rid of them. Plus we got a nice little scrap piece of wood here left. So those are the back pieces. We're going to cut those out in a minute. I just wanted to show you one other thing that's kind of nice here. you can click on this time clock thing and it will estimate how long it takes to cut, and it takes into account your feeds and speeds that you told the machine how fast you wanted it to go. And you can see that these two pieces would take 7 minutes and 4 seconds. Alright, let's get over to the machine and cut these two out. Okay, with the fronts done, I'm going to begin working on the back. And this will hold the back of the wine bottles. And I need 2 of those. This time I turn my board this way. I've got about 1 inch more travel this way, so I won't be cutting it so close. So let's get started on this. Okay, so I'm designing the sides of the wine cabinet, and I needed 4 of them, and I was able to fit 4 on a piece of wood, as you can see. And I grabbed this graphic from Google, like we talked about earlier, and I flipped it around the other way for a left and right piece. As you can see here, I've got 2 facing this way and 2 facing this way. Let's go ahead and do a preview of the cut here. So the first thing it does is allows me to use my V bit for the little graphic, and then it'll allow me to switch over to the 1/4 inch end mill to cut out the piece. I'm using double-sided tape to hold these pieces down, so I don't need any tabs. Look how nice that looks. So simple and easy to do too. Let's see how long it's going to take to cut this entire piece. About 11 minutes and 44 seconds. Not bad. Alright, back to the machine. Let's make our sides. Well, I'd say that's a pretty good use of wood. Just enough to get the cutter in there. I've got my 4 sides. These look good. Alright, I'll get them up. Okay, I've just now designed the legs and the support for our wine rack, and I just drew some boxes to represent what I wanted. These are the actual pockets, and when I make them you'll see what I mean. And then these are the 4 legs, if you will. And here's what it looks like in the 3D view. And you can see that the pocket allows the wood pieces to interlock together. And something else that you might have noticed is these pieces are held in this big piece of wood with these tabs, by these little tabs right here. And I've got 2 tabs on each piece, and it was very easy to do this. And the reason why I did this, number one, these are very small pieces and I don't want them to pop out. And also I noticed I ran out of 2-sided tape, so I'll just have to fasten this board down with screws, and then the tabs will hold it in. But back to how I made these tabs, if I click on the toolpath for the overall cutout, you can see right here I've got tabs on, and I've got the length of them and the thickness of the tabs, and I just make them thick enough to hold in, and I can cut them out easy with a knife. And if you click on edit tabs, here's what they look like, and then you can actually move them around or add more. You know, I can click as many tabs as I want, but I always usually put the tabs in a place that's convenient to cut out, that I can sand off. And you'll see what I mean by the tabs when we go to cut out this piece. So this is the last of our wine cabinet, and VCarve has done a very nice job helping us design this. Very easy to do. Let's go ahead and cut out the legs and I'll show you how those tabs work. Okay, I ran out of double-sided tape and I still have 4 small pieces. So I'm going to demonstrate how I would use tabs to hold the parts in, as well as how I mounted this board to the table. You can see I sunk some drywall screws into the outside of the board on the part that I'm not going to be cutting, and just to be sure I sunk the screws, and then I added tabs on each of the pieces, so you'll see how it all stays in here. So the only fasteners are these 4, and I've positioned them so I only needed 4, and then you'll see the tabs that hold the pieces in when I'm all done. Alright, so I'll cut that out and show it to you next. Alright, so I cleared the sawdust out so you could get a look at these tabs. And you can see there's one there, right down there. It's about 0.2 thick. There's another one. There's one there, and one there, and there. So I just have to unscrew this from the board, and then I can just use a knife and cut these free. But this is a great way to hold parts in using tabs if you don't use tape, or you just want a more secure way of keeping parts in until you're ready to have them fall out. Alright, great, I've got all my parts ready. I'm gonna start assembling this pretty soon. Here's a look at those tabs from the back. You can see I'm just gonna take my knife and slice that and let them go free. Alright, very good. This is all the parts that I'm going to need to assemble my wine rack. I really like the way that this front piece turned out. That really looks nice. And I like the little side pieces too. I've got the right and left grapes. You know, they face opposite directions. And then the little supports that I made as the legs. These come out nice too. Alright, I'm ready to assemble. That's it next. Here's the little brads I'm going to be using. You can see it, it'll work out perfectly. So I'm just going to glue and brad mill this together. Alright, looks good. We're just going to let it dry up a little bit, do a little finish sanding. So this is the finish I plan on putting on it. It's classic oak satin. It's a polyurethane and stain all in one. So I'm going to put that on and wrap this project up. And there we go. There's the completed wine stand with homemade wine on the homemade wine stand. You know, Vectrix.com really made this easy. I've got a old master's look that I carved this by hand by using the CNC machine, and it can really make a guy like myself look like a pro. So I encourage you to head over to Vectrix.com and download their free trial software and try it out for yourself and see the creativity come out of your CNC machine. So thanks for watching. Please give us a thumbs up and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.